Actually not.
Recording in progress.
Right. All right. So, welcome to the Future Leaders Roundtable meeting. Central Coast version. This is my third of these that I have ran. The first one I ran yesterday was our only virtual one that we had. I prefer to do them live, right? Although happy to have Mike here virtually, better than nothing, right? Happy to get a little extra time with Opal Live. So I like that too. First of all, uh, fun fact. Why do you think, or do you know where the concept of having a round table came from?
Round table pizza.
Medieval
Close.
Knights
Ni-
is pretty much correct. Mike?
Yeah, the comes from the Knights of the Round Table.
Yes, the Knights of the Round Table. So King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Uh, does anyone know why it was a round table?
Um, so I think
Okay.
That's interesting.
Mike?
some significant reason. I forget what it is.
Yeah. So the reason why they had a roundtable meeting is it fits in with why I call this the roundtable meeting is the um,
Oh,
King
I
Arthur.
think I know what it is. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead if you know. Go ahead.
No, I think it's so that not any one of the people at the table would be considered like the head of the table by sitting at a certain end, so that they're all equal.
Correct. That's
Uh-huh.
100% correct. So King Arthur, in particular, obviously being the king, like he was the head of the table, but so specifically, everybody would jockey over like who gets to sit to his right and who gets to sit to his left, and how far are you sitting away from the king, and like that would give you power, and so on and so forth. And he didn't like that that was the dynamic from everybody, and he said, no, we're all equal, so we're going to sit at a round table, and he had a round table created. So that way everyone's equal and we're all having a discussion. So when we have this discussion for our Future Leaders Roundtable, it is also affectionately known as the Ass Kickers meeting, and that's actually what it was originally introduced to me as. So I had this meeting introduced to me by my division manager, who at the time was Dan Cassetta, and Dan, when I was a district manager in San Francisco, he said, "Hey, I want you to get together like all your leaders that you have from your organization, and we're going to get together and we're going to have a meeting, and then that way I get a chance to meet who the top up and comers that you have in your office are, and so on and so forth." And so I love this concept of what he had, and so I wanted to create that again here. I wanted to give it a little bit more like. Um, uh, I don't want to say appropriate, but just a little bit better name that you could say, like if someone's like, "Hey, where are you going?" I'm like, I'm going to the Future Leaders Roundtable meeting, right? Which has a little more of a like business feel, right? But I still informally like to refer to it as the Ass Kickers meeting. So that's why I call talking to. That's why I talk to your managers about what it is, right? And so naturally, part of the reason why you get here, you get invited to this, is because you kick butt, and that gets you invited to the Future Leaders Roundtable. And we'll talk about the future leadership and the future growth for each of you as leaders in our Central Coast organization. So that kind of dovetails into why we are here and who's at this table. So we're here to help each person who has already invested a lot into creating the success that you've had so far. And I always say when someone goes above and beyond with their effort to make themselves successful, I view it as my job to do the same thing. And so that's why I'm very happy to get together with you guys. And then also, you want to pat yourself on the back a little bit that you earned your way to this table, because obviously we don't just invite everybody. It's not like a regular team meeting. And so I like to start off with just some basic introductions. Name, high school, college major. I know we already covered this a little bit already, and I obviously have met both of you before. And what have you liked best about the job? Maybe it's an experience, maybe it's a growth you felt, maybe it's something that you've accomplished, and then excuse me. Greatest challenge on the job so far, right? Now, I always encourage when I tell everyone to share their greatest challenge that you can be as deep or as surface level as you want on sharing your greatest challenge. I always say that vulnerability is a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness. And so, whatever you feel like sharing that you feel like you could use some help with, that's part of the reason why I'm here. And part of the thing that we spend the time on today is me getting a chance to dive in and help with some of those challenges as well, because sometimes people might have a similar challenge or not voice that challenge, and they can learn from how I'm able to help one person tackle that as well. So, Opal, we'll have you go first since you're here, and Mike, you get to go second.
Okay.
All right.
So my name is Opal. I just graduated from Mission Prep,
Woohoo!
and my college major is psychology. And so far, I think I've liked probably being able to work on like not public. Not that I've been bad at public speaking, but I think it's always something good to practice and get better at.
Yeah.
So I think and like going out of my comfort zone, like asking, like learning how to do sales talk. I
Yeah.
think is like something kind of valuable in like life because
Mhm.
if someone like it's like the learning how to like persevere with like you're like having something strong and
Mhm.
like continue with it. So like even if I feel like it could help you in life, even if you're like someone tells you like, oh, I don't want to do this, you're like, well, this is or I don't like that, but you're like, well, this is important to me, like you stay strong. So like, I think it helps you like
Yeah.
stay strong in
Yeah.
yourself and also in your job. And it's like teaches you a lot, not only like with sales.
Yeah.
And the greatest challenge I'd say is getting Rex.
Getting Rex. Okay.
Mhm.
I thought that that might be it because we talked about it a little bit as we were coming in. So, and I just want you to know it's a common thought, right? So, Cutco sells Cutco. If you read the manual, you make sure the Cutco's customer's using it. Really quick, are you guys doing more virtual demos or live demos or a mix?
A mix.
A mix? Okay. Like 50/50 or like more one or more the other?
Probably more virtual.
A little more virtual. Okay.
Mhm.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I believe it was the same.
Okay. A little bit more virtual. Okay. So, doesn't change a whole lot on it, but just good to know. And so when it comes to recommendations, I really feel like there's a couple levels of mastery of recommendations. There's a lot of different things that you could learn that can help you with recommendations. But what I'll start with is something that I think that from meeting you guys both briefly, you're probably not having a lot of issues with, but is the better rapport that you have with somebody, right? The more fun you're having on the demo, the better you are at sharing your goals at the beginning of the demo and talking about what you're excited about. And the more they're like tied into like, oh wow, I see Opal's really working hard for this, like before she goes to college, this is cool, right? Like the more that they feel that, the more open they will be once we get to recommendations later on. So I'll just kind of throw that out as like I could give a whole talk on rapport, but that certainly can make a big difference if they feel like they're just going into the demo for just to listen, right? And sometimes people go into the demo and they're like, "All right, go ahead, you got an hour," right? And they're just there to listen, or they're just there to let you run through the motions because they think that that's what you want. They think that you just want to run through the motions, but you're like, "Oh no, there's actually serious like things that I'm working towards." And so when you build good rapport with them, when you share your goals, when they get a chance to really see like why you're working and if this means a lot to you, right? Naturally, that's going to lead to more openness for recommendations, right? And you could even take that even one step further on like how you show up to an appointment and you dress sharp, even if you're on Zoom, like dressing sharp, like just it shows a level of how serious you're taking and it'll have them take you more seriously there as well. Right. But obviously, you both sold a decent amount of Cutco, which is part of the reason why you're here at this meeting. And it's I said that it's a common thing because I think very naturally people like to focus consciously or subconsciously we focus on the sale more than the recommendations, right? And the part of the reason why that is because it's a sales presentation. Part of the reason why that is that our promotions are based on sales, our income is based on sales, and all of that is like immediate gratification, right? So now recommendations essentially are delayed gratification, right? Because they are your future demos, which are your future sales, which is your future income, and like so on and so forth, right? So sometimes people are in the spot where they're struggling with recommendations simply because it's not as big a focus as the sales and the demo, right? But once you get to the point where you get to the recommendations, I feel like there's a couple different levels of mastery that you want to focus on. So. The first level of mastery, and this is probably not going to be the first time you've heard this, is to memorize the recommendation approach, right? I know that that's something that I say a lot. I don't know. Have you already used the karaoke example? Okay, good. So I can use it then. But the example, so most of communication is not the words that you say. Psychologists have studied this. They find that most of communication is not the words that you say. Most of communication is actually the body language and the tone that you have when you say something, right? Even just something as small as tone can change the meaning of something. If I say, I didn't steal the pen, now it sounds like I stole something, but it wasn't the pen. If I say, I didn't steal the pen, sounds like I borrowed it, right? If I said, I didn't steal the pen, right? Now it sounds like I didn't, but I know who did, right? And so I said the same thing 3 times in a row, but they all had dramatically different meanings, right? And so our tone and our body language, and when you're on the Zoom, I would say even more, your tone is going to be more valuable because they can't quite see all of your body language, although you can convey some body language over Zoom, right? And so if I say that most of communication is your body language and your tone, but that was right before that I said you should memorize the words, right? Why do you say that then, right? And even know that words are only like 10% of communication or a little less than that, they are the first 10%, right? So if someone's speaking a different language, you can't understand them. But more importantly, if you have the words down, it allows you to add the body language and the tone, right? And so the karaoke example that I was asking him if he's given before is let's say that we were going to go do karaoke right now. And I said, hey, you can choose what song you do. And let's say it's a Filipino karaoke machine that keeps track of your score. I can say that because my wife's Filipino, right? And so I said, hey, Opal, what song do you want to do? And you're like, I want to do this song. And I'm like, okay, great. What's your favorite song?
Uh, I got a lot.
That's okay.
Uh, X Factor.
X Factor. Okay, boom, you want to do X Factor. So we put X Factor on there. Opal goes on stage. Opal's gonna rock that song, right? You're gonna get a great score. Right? You not only know the words, you know like where to pause, you know how it goes, you know like the notes, like you know everything, right? You're gonna do great with that. Now, if instead I say, hey Opal, I want you to do this song. And you go, Kevin, I've never heard that song. I don't even know what that song is. Right? And I'm like, oh, it's okay. The machine will give you the words, right? The machine is going to give you the words. It always tells you, what the words are and so on and so forth, tries to keep you on track, right? But if you go up there and try that and you've never heard the song before, you're probably not going to do very well, even though the words are there. And that's because you're not able to add the body language and the tone because even though you're reading the words, you don't necessarily know what to say and how you want to convey them when you're saying them, right? And so when you memorize the recommendation approach, it just makes sure that you sound comfortable and confident when you are doing your recommendations. And when you sound comfortable and confident, your customer sounds comfortable and confident. I know I've done a few analogies here already, but one more is like I use the example of if you have a girlfriend and a boyfriend, and the boyfriend comes home late from wherever he was, right? And she goes, "Hey, where were you?" Right? And he goes, "Oh, I went to John's house, and then I had, and that's why I was late." Right? Just because I like sounded like that immediately, even if that's all that happened and I just kind of like stuttered a little bit, right? Immediately the girlfriend would be like, "What the heck? Like that didn't sound real," right? But if I said, "Oh, I just went to John's house, totally forgot the book I had to pick up, grab that, and came back, so I ran a little late," right? The second time, because I was just very comfortable and confident when I said it and it sounded normal, right? It made it so she would be much more comfortable, right? Now, if you don't have the recommendation approach memorized, so therefore you don't sound as comfortable and confident, right? There's nothing like that you're hiding other than that you don't have the recommendation approach memorized. However, your customer doesn't know that, and we naturally, as human beings, we want to understand why somebody sounds uncomfortable and unconfident if they do, right? And so we start asking ourselves, oh, well, why is Opal uncomfortable with this? Should I be uncomfortable with this? Like, what's going to happen with these names? Are they going to get calls at all hours of the night? Like, what's going to happen? Are they going to get telemarketing? Like, they're going to be on this list? Like, who knows, right? And of course, none of that's true, but the customer starts thinking of that simply just because they're uncomfortable and unconfident. Uh, and so, uh, and so, uh, so when I was a representative, I wanted to learn as I was moving up. I wanted to learn like more about how to like see people who already had Cutco. And my manager said before he would teach me that, I had to memorize the recommendation approach. And I said, okay. He's like, no, like word for word, like you have to memorize the recommendation approach. And he would not let me do this next thing until I memorized the recommendation approach. Right. So I haven't done a demo in a very long time. And in training, actually, a different manager in my office teaches the recommendations. So I don't even say it on a weekly basis in training or anything. So, but if I finish the demo, I said, great, how'd you like the presentation?
Great.
Great. Hey, there's one more very important part. Here's where you can really help me out. I do get paid each time I show Cutco, but I can only show Cutco to people I've been personally recommended to. So what I need you to do while I'm cleaning up is just go ahead and jot down 200 to 300 people. No, I'm totally just kidding. Most people just write down 20 to 25 people who'd be nice enough to look at Cutco. I'm not looking for people who want to buy, just people who'd be nice like you to take a look. So here's a pen in my notebook. Go ahead and put down as many as you can. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Now, I know I said pen and notebook. Now I know I said that, but that's because we didn't. It's old fashioned because we didn't have an app. Apps didn't exist when I did dentist. Okay, but I say that because um, all through that I'm able to deliver it comfortably and confident, even though I haven't said it in a very long time, and I don't say it regularly. And that's because like it was drilled in me when I was a rep that like I had to memorize that recommendation approach to make sure they were comfortable. Now for your guys's. There's a lot of advantages to how you guys get recommendations now that are way better than mine, right? So, like when I would get that list of recommendations, and they'd write them down. First of all, they had to write down 25, right? So they wrote them all down, right? Which was not as
Who's next? Who's next? Who's next?
Yeah.
You know, does this?
I handed it to them. They wrote them all down themselves, but they had to write 25 names down, right? So that took a long time. Um, and so I would say, oh, don't worry, it takes me a while to clean up, and I'd slowly polish my knives that I used on the demo, and so on and so forth, right? So now, of course, they just go right? But even more than that, once they give you the recommendations, they send the text to them, and we didn't have that before, right? So when I'd get that list of 25, I'd say, "Oh, thank you so much for helping me out. Like, I really appreciate that." And it really helps if they know that I'm going to be giving them a call, so they know who I am when I call. So if you could just give them a call and let them know I'll be calling, like that would be awesome, right? So I'll probably start calling them like tomorrow, right? But if you could let them know I'll be calling, that'd be great. And they almost never call, right? So because they got other things to do, they're not going to really call and so on and so forth. Every once in a while, when they did call, it was always super easy to be like, oh yeah, she let me know you were calling. I'm like, oh yes, wow, right? And I set up the appointment. So, but when I called to set up the appointment, I would always focus so much on how I sounded. I would say, "Hi, Sally. Hi, Sally. This is Kevin. I know we haven't met yet, but I was over visiting with your friend Janet the other day. Did she get a chance to tell you I'd be calling?" No. Oh, well, I probably just beat her to it. Her and I were talking. Your name came up. She thought you might be able to help me out with something. Do you have a quick second? Great. Well, I'm a student at UC Davis, and then I went into my approach, right? Which is the same approach that you guys use now, with the caveat of those people already got a text, which makes it a lot easier for them. So, and my gum is making it hard to talk about. All right. Uh, so it makes it a lot easier then. So this is a whole lot of things to say. To just say that the first part of recommendations is just memorizing the approach, right? And making sure. I mean, we could go one step further, making sure they download the app when they start the demo, so that way they don't have to download it afterwards, so on and so forth. But if you have it memorized, they're more comfortable doing it. Now, the second layer would be if they give me an objection, do I know how to handle that objection, right? Because if we memorize the recommendation approach, we will get less objections and we'll have more people that just go boom, 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 here you go, right? But we might still have somebody who goes, oh, I don't know anyone. Oh, that's totally fine. Like, I totally understand. I really appreciate you trying to think of people who would buy for me, right? Like, I'm totally not thinking of people who would buy, just anybody who'd be nice like you, right? So, did you like Kako? Okay, cool. Did you like me? Cool. So it's just going to be me and Cutco. Okay, great. And so I would just comfortably ask that, and it kind of just diffuse that in their head. They're like, oh yeah, I guess it is. Like it's just that, just you and just Cutco. Like that should be fair, right? And if they say, oh, I don't do that, right? Like I don't do that. Like we just don't. Me and my friends, like we don't give out each other's names, like without talking to them first. And I told I totally understand. Well, like I wouldn't want to give out names too if I didn't like know what they were being used for. Just so you know, I'm the only person who's going to see them, and all I'm going to do is give them a quick call, just like I did with you. And we'll actually have you give them a quick text heads up, so that way they know that I'm calling. And you did like Cutco, right? Cool, and you like me? Cool. Well, it's just going to be me and Cutco, and I'm just going to give them a quick call, just like I did you. Super comfortable. You don't have to worry. No one's going to like telemarket them or anything else. No one else is even going to see this list. My manager doesn't even see the list, other than to like see how many recommendations I got to make sure I'm doing my job, right? Who do you think would be best? And so if you answer it comfortably and confident, that goes back to like the boyfriend, girlfriend, why are you late, right thing, right? So it's like if I answer it confidently, it's like, oh, okay, well that makes sense, right? But if I go, if I say, oh, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Oh, you don't feel comfortable reaching out to your friend, but it's it's only going to be like me. It's not like a big deal, right? So now I'm like almost like defending it as opposed to just like, hey, I totally understand. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable either if I didn't know what these names were being used for, if they were like going to a company or something like that, right? Just so you know, it's just me and Cutco, right? And so I'm just gonna give him a quick call, just like I did you. And you did like Cutco, right? Well, I know you just got it, but I mean, yeah, yeah, okay, great. And uh-oh, did you like me? And sometimes I do the little, uh-oh. Did you like me? And they go, no, you're great. I think you were great. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're awesome too. So it's just going to be me and Cutco, right? So you don't have to worry about anybody else giving them a call. So who do you think would be best to call, right? Who do you think would be best to recommend first, right? And then I might give thought joggers of who they could see. Like some people recommend family, some people recommend coworkers, some people recommend other their kids' friends' parents, so on and so forth. And I might give them some ideas and go into it too as well. So it doesn't mean that every single time it works, right? But what it does mean is that I was more comfortable and confident when I delivered it in the first place. So some people just give me more right from the very beginning. Number two, it means that if they had one apprehension, or sometimes people just ask a question, even if they don't have an apprehension, right? So like my wife hates it when I do this, right? She'll tell me something and I'll go, well, what if this happens? And she's like, well, that's so negative, right? And I was like, no, I'm just trying to like think of like, what if this happens? Like, I want to make sure we have that covered. And but I'm just saying like, oh, well, I just want to make it so like, oh, well, I don't know if I feel comfortable giving out names, right? And so that just means like, hey, in order for me to give you more names, you'd have to make me comfortable giving out the names, right? I don't know anyone. Oh, well, that just means that I don't think that one is usually just I don't know anybody who would buy. But some people will just ask a question, even if they don't have any like actual major reservations. They just want to kind of have their question answered, and then they feel comfortable. So. Is that helpful?
Very. This is recorded, right?
It is, yeah.
And I've also sent you a great resource of I don't think I've ever showed it to you, but it's like it's a recommendations video. No, it's Alex Funk, My Cutco Rep. It goes in the My Cutco Rep app. I really like this video because it's more modern and it shows like how to do it with the My Cutco Rep app. And this girl is like ridiculous. Alex gave her 2 in the role playing thing, and she was like, I was like so lost when you gave me 2 because like anytime I ask like the customer, they give me at least 10. And it's just like it made me just drop my mouth because it's like, dude, this girl like literally doesn't get less than 10 anytime she asks for it. Like
the Miguel one's a good resource.
and the Miguel's a great one too. Yeah,
Anyway.
I'll send that to you too. But
so that's old school because he's writing them down. But
yeah, but it's still like the asking for and the way that he handles objections and stuff like that.
And like he like only gets like 4 recommendations or something like that.
It's just ridiculous.
And then he just like
you think it's gonna stop, but then he just keeps going.
He's over like 30 recommendations. It's kind of cool. And he does it, and it's like the whole time you're watching it, you're like, that was really comfortable, right? You're like, at no point did the customer see you uncomfortable. She's like smiling and laughing as she's like going through and adding more, and it's great. So,
and then last question, this said karaoke machine, do you have that in your house where you can like sing and have score and everything?
Yeah, I get the best scores. I'm regularly in the 90s. My wife absolutely hates that I get the best scores, right? And it's because I'm not like, I don't have like the most beautiful voice. Don't tell her I said that because I say that's why I get good scores. But I know like the pace and the words of the songs that I'm singing, and I only choose songs that I know like 10 out of 10, right? And so like every time I go up there, it's like 94, 95, 92, 90, yeah. And so and she'll get like 80s just because she like misses a word or misses like a pace. Anyways, so even though she can actually sing well, but yes, it's inherent that you have to have a karaoke machine if you're Filipino. So yes, we have one. All right. Yeah, most of her friends. Sometimes I joke in like in training when I say, "Hey, so who like does everyone just have one TV in their house?" No, you have multiple. You got one in the garage for karaoke, right? And I say that because a lot of her friends have one in the garage for karaoke. Right. So, Mike, now that I've made you laugh,
Yeah.
you get to go next.
All right. Let's see here. So that was the two questions that you asked, right?
Can you see the screen or no?
No, all I see is you and me.
You can reshare it, I guess, but maybe it just is not selected on his computer
Mhm.
because it's sharing.
I should be sharing. But anyways, name, high school, college,
Okay.
uh, and then what you've liked best.
Okay. Name is Mike Corsaro. My high school was Options for Youth, actually.
Okay.
And I actually went to Allen Hancock College for a little while, for about a year. I was studying welding.
Okay.
Um, and I wrote it down. My favorite experience, it definitely has to be these meetings. Anytime I'm in a meeting, especially the bigger ones, I get so much out of it, and I really enjoy the camaraderie and just like the information that gets delivered at those conferences and in meetings
Yeah.
like this are it's phenomenal. You know,
Cool.
it's pretty good. So, and then the my biggest challenge is, I'm gonna be real honest with you here. It's my mental outlook. You know, sometimes having the
Uh-huh.
confidence is kind of low. You know, trying to
Yeah.
build that back up. Like, because I know when I first got back working with Vector, I was pumped. Like every cell in my body was just like fired up. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I love Cutco, dude. You know, I'm gonna sell the shit out of this. And
Yeah.
over the course of not getting enough recs and then running
Yeah.
out of people to call and then hearing so many no's, I kind of got it. I'll be honest with you. I got into a funk,
Yeah.
and I've been trying to shake it off for a long time right now. And it's getting to the point to where I need to figure something else out or something so I can get
Yeah.
back to having that raw passion, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where everything I think
Yeah.
is like Cutco related, you know what I mean? Like I just want to do Cutco, and so that's kind of where I'm at. That's my biggest challenge.
Yeah. So when you said back into Cutco, remind me, did you do Cutco previously and then you came back? Is that
Yeah,
right?
when I was 18 when
Yeah.
I worked there for
Yeah.
about a summer. I remember the
Okay.
paper and all the writing stuff down and you having to ask and then okay, now call some people right now for me. Like,
Yeah.
it seems
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
intrusive and invasive and kind of rude. So it kind of turned me off to it. But I didn't realize the value that Cutco has or is and
Yeah.
holds forever, you know. So and I was 18, I was
Yeah.
naive back, you know. But now that I
Yeah.
realize how much of a great product that we have and the company and their warranty, I mean, there's nothing bad that you can say about Cutco or Vector, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Combined.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm really glad to be back and I need to get out of this funk because
Yeah.
I really want to sell some Cutco and change my life, you know, change other people's
Yeah.
lives.
Well, the cool thing is that, if there's like here and here, like you want to get here where you're like changing your life and like changing your life income wise, experience wise, skills wise for whatever you want to do in the future, inside or outside of the company, like, make it a life-changing experience, right? And it all starts with what you just said as well, which is like your belief in the product, right? Your belief in the product, your belief in the opportunity, your belief in so when you have that belief in the product, you're going to be able to share that with your customers. When you have that belief in the opportunity, right? Then figuring out how to connect it, like there's enough reason why you're like, I see why this could be everything for me, right? And whether it's like everything that's going to be building your resume for your careers in the future, or whether it's going to be a career itself, right? Either way, right? The fact that you see that, right, is a strong why, and certainly I would say a big part of it is just continuing to remind yourself that like, hey, this might be hard. I might be having trouble like putting it together to get to exactly where I want to be, right? But it's worth it, right? And there's just so many examples of it's worth it. Like you could just watch all the Changing Lives, Selling Lives podcasts of people crushing it in all different industries, like with their vector experience and what they gained from it and so on and so forth, right? So what's cool I liked is that when you shared, right, you shared like, hey, this is something I'm dealing with, right? But I love Cutco and I want to maximize it, and I see what it could do for me, right? So I
Yeah.
really like that you have those two things, and I think what we're trying to do is just like I see where I could get, right? And I see here, but there's a couple letters in the middle that I'm missing. Like I see A and I see E, but I need to get, B, C, and
B, C,
D
and D.
and
Yeah.
to be able to get there, right? So certainly more than anything, right, from what I'm hearing a little bit from you, is that the number one thing that's holding you back is just people to see.
Yeah.
Which obviously the long-term solve to that is everything we just talked about with recommendations, right? The long-term solve
Right.
of I need to have more people to see, right, is getting good at recommendations, right? Because if you get good at recommendations, then you get to the point where every time you do a demo, like there's two ways you can feel as far as like number of demos that you have, right? You can feel like I'm doing a demo, and after this demo, like I only have five more people to call, and I'm not sure who I'm going to call. Like I feel like I have one less person to call when I'm doing this demo, which is not a good place to be, right? The other one is I'm so glad I have this demo, like not just for the sale that I'm going to have, and then I'm going to help them get Cutco and so on and so forth, right? But this is going to mean that I'm going to have
Correct.
10 or 15 more people to see, right? Every time I had a demo, like I was pretty confident, right, that like this is going to be more people to see, right? Like I never had a thought like, oh no, I have one less customer. I was always thinking like, hey, I'm going to have more customers, right? And so in order to have that feeling though, we got to get really good at the recommendations, right? And that's why like my manager like said, hey, before we talk to you about doing this, right, you need to do that, right? Because I don't want you to not be able to get recommendations once you start doing that, right? And but to in the short term, right, you can memorize the recommendation approach, but if you don't do a demo to use it, right, it doesn't matter, right? This is probably a concept that you've heard before, right? But I'm gonna mention it again, and that is the concept of making a chicken list. Uh, a chicken list is people who you are scared to call, or you just haven't called, people who you potentially could call, right?
Like, give an example.
Yeah. So when it comes to chicken lists, like I have a chicken list. Like if I had to start this job again and I had to go see people, like I could sell Cutco to people who I haven't seen yet, right? And also people who have Cutco often buy more Cutco, right? Uh, but there are many different reasons. Like it's called the chicken list. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're scared to go see them. Like I remember I had one story where I didn't see a friend of mine at that time, Kate's parents. Now Kate was my prom date from high school, and she would have been a great person to see. She had an awesome family. Her family loved me, and but we weren't like dating or anything at the time, and like I just didn't think of her, and so I didn't think about like going to do a demo for her. So my friend Charles comes up to me and he goes, "Hey Kevin, you never saw Kate's parents, huh?" And I go, "No." I was like, "That family loves to cook. Like, that's gonna be a great person to see." He's like, "No, don't bother seeing them. I just saw them and I sold them an
No.
ultimate set." And I'm like, no way, man. Like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, honestly, Kevin, I barely know them, right? He's like, I got him as a recommendation, right? And when I got him as a recommendation, I knew who they were and I knew you knew them. And he's like, and I half expected when I gave them a call, that they were going to say they already had Cutco from you, but they didn't say anything about it, right? I still half expected when I got there that maybe they didn't mention it on the phone. There was going to be Cutco there, that you sold them, right? But I've had people buy from you and me, so who cares, right? And so he went over there and he's like, I got there though, and no Cutco. And Kevin, did you know they cook? And I was like, Charles, I know they cook. I've been over there for dinner, right? And he's like, yeah. So, anyways, I sold the ultimate set, right? And I always relive that as the what basically happened in that conversation was Charles said, "Hey, Kevin, can I see your wallet?" And I go, "Yeah,
Yep.
sure." And he goes, "Cool. I'm going to take out $400. Well, here you go. Here's your wallet back. Thank you." Right.
Yep.
And that's basically what happened. Just because I chose, I guess, not to see him. I didn't like mentally choose not to go see him, but I just didn't. I wasn't like aggressive in a positive way at like seeing everybody who I possibly could that I knew, right? So like once I started getting some recommendations, right? Well, after I saw the people who were really easy to see that I knew, right? Like I immediately started trying to jump into my recommendations. After that happened, I was like, all right, what are the like coaches have I not seen? What are the like people have I not seen? Like, I don't want this to happen again, right? And like I made a chicken list, and I was also forced into making a chicken list when I came back because I mentioned the old school recommendation notebook thing, right? So when I went off to college once, I lost my recommendation notebook, and then I came back, no recommendation notebook, didn't have anybody to see, right? And that's when my manager first introduced to me this idea of making a chicken list, right? And this was even after that had already happened, right? And I was like, no, I saw everybody who I knew, like so on and so forth. He's like, no, like you definitely haven't. Like there's definitely other people you could see. You just got to like be a little bit more like stretching of your comfort zone of maybe people you haven't talked to in a while, right? So on and so forth. And I mean, I went to high school in the Salinas Monterey area. There was no virtual demo. I did not live in California before high school. So it's not like I was like there forever, but I certainly had a community through school, through sports, through youth group, through other things that I did, right? That I could see. And I started really expanding the people I would see. I started like I called my I got out my school directory and I started calling people in my school directory because I went to a school that was a private school and it had a directory, and so I started calling from there. My church that I went to youth group at. I didn't actually go to church there. I just went to youth group there. I went to different church, right? I also did that one too, though. But my youth group was like a big they have a big directory, and I would just call and say, hey, so I don't know if you know me, but actually I'm part of your church. I go to the youth group. Oh, cool. Like, yeah, how's the experience? How's your experience with Eric? And oh, Eric's great. He's doing a great job leading it, and like so on and so forth. Well, actually, the reason why I was calling is I just started a new job, like so and so. Oh yeah, and of course, like happy to help anyone from the church out. Come on over, right? And I got a chance to get a lot of demos from there, right? And so really being creative and the people like the worst thing that can possibly happen is I
Here,
call
no.
one of them and they go, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Oh no, like cool. I'm at the same place that I just was, right? And so really thinking like, what are my circles? Like, what circles do I have? Like, what's people that I hung out with before, or friends' parents that I don't know that I haven't really met or seen in a long time, right? And really, really just like going through and being as like open-minded as possible is like, could I do a demo for them? And one of the ways I look at this sometimes is I say, hey, Mike, if I told you that if you found 10 people that have a house or married and are over 30 that you haven't done a demo with, and you just did a demo with them, I would give you $1 million. Would
What?
you find 10 people or would you not get the
Of
million
course.
dollars?
You'd find 10 people. I would find 10 people.
So the key to doing that, and like let's say you want to be a millionaire in the future, right? Like the key to doing that is having the drive to do things, right? Without having the immediate $1 million, right? But it could set you on habits that will get you to that, right? As you seem to recognize from what you were saying, right? So for now, it's got to be being really creative with that to get there. Right. And then at the same time, making sure you're ready to really rock recommendations at a high level. So once I do that, right? Because once I did that and I saw all those church people, then I'm just now I just had all these different like offshoots of people that I was seeing, all these different recommendations from my school and from my church and from my sports coaches and so on and so forth. And so now all of these took me in all different directions, and I didn't really have that problem again, right? Um, so. Um, so that's what I would suggest for you is just be really, really creative in who you can possibly see, right? Michael Wilmon, like who you know well, right? Essentially came back and he's been doing a lot of the same thing, right? Of like really thinking like, hey, back when I sold before, who did I not see, or who do I know now that I didn't know then? Who could I possibly show it to? And just being creative with that, I think is going to be your start.
Right on. Thank you, Kevin.
You got it, buddy.
One
All
other
right.
thing is, I just wanted
Yes.
to say, so whenever you get the no, and instead
Mhm.
of getting down, I always just think I'm just one more closer to my yes,
Yeah,
because you're gonna hear
100%. Yeah.
19 no's before you hear that one yes, let's just say. So you hear no, 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 instead of getting discouraged, you know what I mean? It's just like, all right, there's 19, 18, 17, 16, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're
like
just closer. It's a way to be able
one
to
of the
stay
things
positive about
that's
it.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that's it's so much more like positive feeling the way you guys now get recommendations where you can have the customer text them and it's through an app and like all that. Like you actually hear the word no a lot less than what we used to, right? Because you could imagine if I got that list of 25 recommendations, right? And then I started calling them, they did not know I was calling them. So my tone was so important, like, hi, Sally. Hi, Sally, this is Kevin. Hey, I don't think we've met, but I was over visiting with Janet the other day. Did she get a chance to tell you I'd be calling? No. Oh, well, I probably just beat her to it, right? So I was trying to set up an appointment. Now, you could imagine that every once in a while somebody was like, no, bye.
Yeah.
Right. And just hung up. And
Right.
like I had to get that a little bit more, right? It's not a positive thing. It's a great that you guys don't have that as much, but it's important that you realize in the same way, just like you were saying, Mike, all right, that like it is okay to get a no, though. It's not like a bad thing. They're not saying like I don't like you or you're bad or the cut goes bad or anything. They're just saying no based on the circumstance. But no, like even if I ever had someone rude to me on the phone, which was super rare, but if I ever had that happen, I would just go, hey, I wonder what happened in that. I wonder what they probably had a bad day, right? I probably had nothing to do with it, right? So anybody probably could have called them today and they would have got a little bit of something because they just had a bad day, right? So who cares? I'm on to the next one, right? And so not letting that affect you is so important. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Mike. So
Cool. Thank you.
yeah. So all right. Well, so the next thing I want to talk about here is kind of leveling up are kind of your standards, right? So of like what makes somebody of like what a successful week is or a good week is. Now you might have some bigger goals than what we're talking about when we're talking about push period and some other different times, right? But just on kind of like a regular weekly basis. Like so sometimes people will ask me, they say, hey, like Kevin, like what would be a minimum amount that somebody in Cutco could sell weekly to like be like consistently successful, right? Just like anyone, right? Not like a leader, just anyone, right? I would say selling $1,000 a week, right? So if they're selling $1,000 a week, right, if you're selling $1,000 a week, you're gradually moving forward. You're making at least a little bit of income, you know, somewhere between 200 and $500, depending on like what commission level you're at, right? And so, you know, like that's pretty solid. You're moving forward, right? But being that like the goal of this is to help you become a leader, right? Is naturally a leader is going to have slightly higher standards, right? And so I feel like a good standard for you guys to set is doing 2K per week on a regular week, right? Now, let me equate what I actually view that as work-wise, though. It says, or 10 demos and 7 sales, right? Now, there's a lot of inconsistency that you could see at that. Like some people will look at that when I show it to them and they'll say, Kevin, I'm doing 10 demos, but I'm not getting 7 sales. And my thought would be you should work with your manager to get better at your closing percentage, right? Because most people are going to sell on 6 or 7 out of 10 at a minimum, right? I do see people with higher closing percentages that sell an 8 or 9 out of 10, right? But 6 or 7 is pretty common, right? And so if it's anything below 6 or 7, right, then if it's below 5, especially, right, like there's some things that you could do to improve your demo, right? And now the other thing you could look at is go, Kevin, I make 7 sales if I do 10 demos, but like it doesn't add up to 2K. Well, that means your average order is under $300, right? Which means you're generally selling probably 1 or 2 pieces most of your demos, right? Which also means that like working on selling sets is going to be something that can really raise your average order a lot, right? And that's going to lead you to qualifying for Vegas. So certainly a standard that we want to hold for our ass kickers, if you will, would be 100% Vegas qualifiers, right? So qualifying to be able to go to Vegas. And there are also Summer Excellence Awards, or they're now called Top Gun Awards in Vegas. I didn't change the Summer Excellence terminology, but I did change the awards, right? So there's the One-Star Captain Award when you hit 15K. These are now K-bars that you win, which are really cool. They're actually cooler than the trophies we used to have, right? They're just trophies now. They're cool K-bars that you actually can like have and use. And so One-Star Captain, there's One-Star Captain, the 20 car, the 2-star Major, 3-star Colonel, 4-star General, and then if you're at 35 to 40K, then that opens the door for All-American as well.
You should have it be instead of captain, should be 1-star Maverick. That's like that.
Well, 1-star wouldn't be.
Top Gun.
Yeah, but 1-star. Well, if it would be Maverick would have to be like the top one, though.
The top one, I
It
guess,
should
right?
be.
But the general just sounds so clean. So
If-
maybe
if-
they move it up and they put
If they were
the
going
top
to do
with
it, like it'd be
Maverick.
like Maverick Goose, you know, or things like that. So, you know, anyways. So the next thing I have to share here is just importance of attendance and event attendance and participation. And this is important for you, but it's also important for the team, right? And so this is one of the things that's always a tough thing for managers as well is, you know, I really loved what you shared, Mike, right? Like you sharing, like every time I go to an event, like I really feel like I gain so much from it, right? And like sometimes I just like what you just said is like what I want to be able to like express to a rep who's like not sure about going to an event because I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like by going to this, you're going to grow so much, you're going to gain so much, you're going to make so much more money, you're going to have so much of a better experience. But yeah, like sometimes you can't say that until someone experiences it, right? So the more that you guys can lead the attendance to things, like the more that others will follow to as well. So it'll impact you, but it'll also impact them, right? So SLDM number 4, that's going to be 1 week from today. So it's Tuesday, July 22nd. And we call this one the SC2 leadership meeting. And so this SLDM is completely designed about how to have a big SC2 push period, right? How to go out and sell whatever you want to sell, whatever your goal is, whether it's 6 to 8K or whether it's 10, 15, 20K, right? And how we make that happen. So some of the keys to the planning of it, some of the keys to the execution of it, how to build towards it, and we'll also talk about an opportunity called the 10K Alliance, which can be great, and that'll all be building towards summer conference number 2, which is Wednesday, August 13th. And then by doing these things well over the next 4 or 5 weeks, you'll make yourself a candidate to be on our Leadership Academy and also win an invite to Vegas. If you get invited to Vegas, right, you're also going to be invited to interview with the Leadership Academy, right? And so which can be a great opportunity for you to put yourself in a position of choice, as we'll talk about next year, for the future, right? So when I first started the job, I worked in the summer, right? And in the school year, every time during the school year, I would always work really part-time, right? So I wasn't heavily working during the school year. School was my focus, right? But during the summers, I like to work a lot and really maximize that time that I had in the summer, right? But the one thing I did do during school all the time was I joined the Leadership Academy. And when I joined the Leadership Academy, it meant when I came back the next summer, I was able to be an assistant manager. And then I got a better experience. I had another great, I had experience still selling again, but also I was now helping other representatives. And I really loved the leadership experience that I had. And then I was able to come back the next year and be a sales manager, right? And then I was like the right-hand person. I was really driving an organization. I really learned how to do that with my district manager. And then I came back the next summer and I was a branch manager, right? Now you can do it like Ryan, where it's like the next summer you're a branch manager and you just get to be a branch manager every summer, which was pretty cool for him to do while he was in college, right? So he just skipped those other parts of the thing that I said, right? And sometimes people do that, right? But you don't have to make the decision about what leadership position you do or don't want to have now, right? All you want to do right now is just put yourself in a position of choice, right? And if you put yourself in a position of choice where we say, hey, do you want to move into an assistant manager position, branch manager position? You get to choose. You get to choose your options. And it's like we can buy into this with why we go to school, right? We go to school so when we graduate, we have more options, right? Do you have to go to college to do something successful in your life? No, technically not, right? But if you go to college and you get that degree, do you have more options of things you can do? Yes, right. So we put yourself in that position of choice. And so more and more though nowadays, right? And this is something people talk about a lot in the Changing Lives, Selling Lives podcast, is that if you just have a degree and you're trying to go into a career that requires that degree, right? Everyone else who's interviewing that position also has that degree, right? Because that's why they're interviewing, right? And so it's what you do outside of that degree that really separates it, right? And the problem is a lot of people when they go to college, right? They at best did an internship once, right? Which depending on the job, a lot of them will dig into what did you do in your internship, and unfortunately, sometimes that's not a good answer, not a good question because they give you a lot of busy work in the internships sometimes, right? Now sometimes they give you good internships, right? And those are great, right? But a lot of the time it's like, hey, like you're a gopher, you're doing administration work, and if they ask you that in the interview and you have to tell them, right, like you don't gain much, right? But when you're able to say like, oh, well, I sold $10,000 worth of cacao, I sold $20,000 worth of cacao, I sold $50,000 worth of cacao, whatever the number is, obviously the higher the number it is, the more impressive that is, right? That shows a certain proficiency and ability, right? And then also when you can say, hey, I also was promoted to being an assistant manager, so I helped out other managers in my office. That was one of the things that Andrew Bosworth always said separated him from other engineers that were great engineers like him, right? But didn't have those communication skills that are rare in the engineering industry, right? And then there's many others though who say like, oh, it was my experience as a branch manager that had me stood out, and so on and so forth. So what you want to do is just do the very best you can this summer, which will put you in position of choice for the future opportunities. Right? Now, In the previous slide, I talked a lot about standards, right? So sales consistency, selling 2K a week, like, and, you getting to 10K, 15K, 20K, 30K, right? So on and so forth. And those are all like the higher you get, naturally, the better position of choice you put yourself in tangibly, right? But one of the things I was talking with Marcus about right after our ass kickers meeting that we had in Bakersfield right before this, right? Is he said, hey, like Tyler really wants to be a branch manager next summer. Tyler's one of his assistant managers, right? And Tyler's at like around $20,000 in sales or so. He's back for his second summer. He plays college football, so he's not as involved during the school year, but he's during the summer. And one of the things I told him is I said, you know what? Like, I really like Tyler, right? Tyler's a really good person, and like he has all the intangibles, right? And so if it came down to like him or somebody else who have the same tangibles, right, I'd choose Tyler, right? And I was like, so you should tell him that, right? That you feel about that way about him, and that I feel that way about him. This was after he had left, right? And so you should tell him that way, and I feel that way about him, right? Because the intangibles are those. But it's also important, and Marcus says, but we got to make sure his tangibles, match somebody else's, right? So then it comes down to the intangibles, right? But I always say that the intangibles are more important than the tangibles, right? It's anybody who I promote into management, especially the higher management positions you get to, but even assistant manager, like I want to know a little bit about somebody, I want to know that they have a high level of integrity, right? Especially if they're going to be a branch manager or running their own office, like I want to know they have a high level of integrity, that they have good work ethic, that they have good perseverance to overcome obstacles that happen for them, and that they want to grow and develop themselves personally, right? If they just sell a lot, right, and like making a lot of money because they sell a lot, right, that's great. They become a CSP, right? You can do that, right? And the cool thing is, most of our CSPs, they also have these, right, which is great, right? So those are certainly it's just important that I always like to say that, like, I feel like the intangibles are something I look for just as much, if not more, than the tangibles, right? Because we can find a lot of people with the tangibles. There's a lot of people who've sold a lot of caca, right? And I have a little leadership poem that I want to share with you. So are you able to see my screen yet, Mike?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. This poem is called "I Went on a Search to Become a Leader." So it says by anonymous, as it should be, which will become obvious as you hear the poem. All right. I went on a search to become a leader. I searched high and low. I spoke with authority. People listened, but alas, there was one who was wiser than I. They followed that individual. I sought to inspire confidence, but the crowd responded, "Why should I trust you?" I postured and I assumed the look of leadership with a countenance that flowed with confidence and pride. But many passed me by and never noticed my air of elegance. I ran ahead of the others. I pointed the way to new heights. I demonstrated that I knew the route to greatness. And then I looked back and I was alone. What should I do? I queried. I tried hard and I used all that I know. And I sat down and pondered long. And then I listened to the voices around me. I heard what the group was trying to accomplish. I rolled up my sleeves and joined in the work. As we worked, I asked, are we all together in what we want to do and how to get the job done? And we thought together and we fought together. We struggled towards the goal. I found myself encouraging the faint-hearted. I sought ideas of those too shy to speak out. I taught those who had little skill. I praised those who worked hard. When our task was completed, one of the group turned to me and said, this would not have been done but for your leadership. At first, I said I didn't lead, I just worked with the rest. And then I understood leadership is not a goal, it's a way of reaching a goal. I lead best when I help others to go where we've decided to go. I lead best when I help others to use themselves creatively. I lead best when I forget about myself as a leader and focus more on the group, their needs and their goals. To lead is to serve, to give, to achieve together. Right? This has kind of two different meanings for me. Right? The first meaning that it has is that there are ways that you can lead as a leader in Central Coast that Ryan cannot. Right. And what I mean by that is leadership by example is something that the actual representatives or team members are going to model. I always say the culture of an organization, I mentioned this from stage, the culture of an organization is not created specifically by the manager or the coach, right? The manager or the coach says, this is what I would like our culture to be, right? But what the culture actually is, you can say that, right? Champion standard, right? But that culture actually is what the leaders on the team do, right? Because, of course, the coach or the manager is going to say, we do this, right? But if they actually witness that that's what they do, right? That's what the team does, right? Then that's when others will do the same thing too as well. Now, the second thing is that being a leader in Vector is prescribing, in my mind, to being a servant leader. I always say to your district manager and all the district managers, you work for your people more than your people work for you, right? Your job is to help them achieve their goals, help guide them to what they need to accomplish, right? And if you do that, then of course you'll get where you want to go to as well, right? But really, you work for them more than they work for you. And this is where like the sports part of it, like really rings home for me, because I think we all feel like the coach works for the player more than the player works for the coach in many ways, right? It's the coach's job to help the player do the best that they can, right? And they have to when they get to the game. The player's actually the one that plays the game, right? And so it's the same thing here, where anybody who's moved up into especially the higher leadership position, it's important that they prescribe to servant leadership as opposed to people serving them. So now, I want to give you guys some things you can read to help you grow and develop yourself further. And so I have a few books to read or audios to listen to if you prefer to just listen. They accomplish the same things, right? And so if you're more of a listener than a reader, go with the reading or go with the listening, right? And so the first one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. So this is a book that my mom actually read when she was a teenager because she moved a lot, and so she wanted to like learn how to meet people. Now, anybody who knows my mom knows that my mom makes friends with everyone she meets, even if she meets them, even if she rode on the train with them for once. She's like, "Oh, that's my friend. We made friends on the train," right? So on and so forth. And so, and it's not. I'm not saying all of that specifically because she wrote one How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? But it probably played a part, right? And so this is really all about how to like connect with people at a high level, and how to be able to connect with more types of people and how to connect with people in the right way. And now, if How to Win Friends and Influence People is how to connect outwardly, right? Seven Habits of Highly Effective People is how to be effective yourself, how to be the most effective version of yourself, right? And then the last one on there is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a very good, like, elementary, like, first book to read about just like what makes some people
Super
doing
good.
well financially and some people not, right? You're nodding your head like maybe you read this one.
I've read
Yes,
this.
I have.
Okay, you read all of them.
But the two.
No,
You haven't read the first one?
That's awesome.
It's a great book.
It's
It's
I
my
won't-
favorite.
Yeah.
The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, it's so crazy. I got taught that in elementary school.
That's really cool. It's
Which
good
is really
elementary
cool.
school.
It's good schooling. It's like, I mean, I was learning the seven habits of like I can be proactive, have no one, first things first, and I'll think win-win,
Mhm.
synergize.
I find myself with the seven habits, like I find myself often like pulling things from that in like conversations all the time,
Yeah.
right? Without even knowing it, without even like thinking that I'm using it from the book, right? But yeah, I think you'll really like the other one too, as well, right? But Rich Dad Poor Dad it's just a great concept of like, how two people with like the same resources, one can do really well and one can't, right? Based on a few different things. So there's also resources on Vector Connect. So Vector Connect has an audio and a video library. These two happen to be from the audio library. They're from a speaker that I like on there named Mark Lovis. He was a former like Hall of Fame division manager. And so Flip the Switch is all about like motivation. So if you want to just get like motivated with something, like that's a good one to listen to. Advanced Training 6 is a kind of a mix of like mindset and skills with your customers. It's really good stuff. So there's also great podcasts you can check out, right? So Brandon Brown has a really good podcast. I suggest listening to the Brandon Brown podcast sometime before push. Sometime before push. I am going to send out to all your managers a video version of that, because I actually have a video version of that when it was shot. Yep. So if somebody likes to watch it instead of listen to it, they can. Right. So I'm going to send that out to them. But it's all about like the self-imposed limitations that we put on ourselves and how we can break through those. And that's, really that's why we have a push period. Push periods are designed for you to like figure out and expand your capacity by breaking through what you thought we could do. Right. And then Andrew Bosworth, I put on there. Dan Cassetta, our region manager, has a great one, Selling the World's Finest, a lot of good pieces that you can get from there. And there's many other episodes on there. I have an episode on there. Ben, our assistant division manager, has a one on there. Deanna Scortino has one on there. Danny Garrido has one on there, so on and so forth. So
Who wouldn't want to watch Brandon Brown? He's so good looking, man.
right.
all Right. So next, so what we can do to lead the team, right? So what can you do to lead the team? So number one is sales leadership. That's going to be a huge example, right? So I use the example sometimes if a rep goes out and sells $1,000 in their first weekend and they go to the meeting, but there's a bunch of people who sold more than them. It makes them feel like, oh, okay, cool. Like I like what I'll be doing next, right? Like they're ahead of me, but I'm going to get there, right? So your sales leadership, your consistency is something that others will look up to. Sharing hot news and encouragement, right? So doing that within the team too as well, whether you have a WhatsApp or whether you just communicate with people at the team meeting, so on and so forth. Your productivity culture at the office, right? So maximizing the phone jams, setting a lot of appointments at those, that can really lead by example. Field training is one you can do, like I may have mentioned I did it slightly that I was recommended the job by a friend of mine, Charles. And so Charles is somebody who I was one of my best friends. I played football with him in high school. And when I first got started, I sold $794 in my fast start, which is not very good, right? And so even back then, even with inflation adjusted, that still would not be very good, right? So maybe it's $1,500 today, right? But I didn't sell a whole lot in my fast start, right? And so and I always like to use that as an example because not everybody who's great in our business did a whole lot right in the very beginning, right? And so one of the things that helped me was field training. So when I first got started, I my averages weren't as high, right? Like I didn't know exactly why. I wanted to just get better, and but Charles would sell like Homemaker and Ultimate, and like he was having way better averages than me, right? And so I went field training with Charles. Now, Charles was somebody I was very competitive with. It was hard for me to like admit like his demo's better than mine, right? But I was like, but I told myself I can outwork Charles, right? Charles doesn't work harder than me, right? He doesn't have better work ethic than me. So if I can just get as good as him, right, like then I'll be the best, right? So I went and watched him on a lot of his demos till I could get better. Right. So another way you can lead the team is this concept. There's a new bonus that we're launching here for you guys, which is I know when you first got started, you probably recommended like a bunch of people to the job through like the app. So you said like, hey, maybe you recommended 50, 100, 150 people, and maybe you recommended more or less. I don't know. Right. But when we do that, that is the most effective way to reach out to recommendations that we get in mass, right? So like everyone who goes through training submits recommendations. We have to reach out to all of them. So the best way to do that is just get as many as possible, send them a quick text and go, hey, you're looking for work, right? It's not the most personalized, right? And so once you're somebody who's viewed as a leader, you actually have this available, where if you give Ryan a list of 10 people that you think might be good for the team, right? Or 20 people that you think might be good for the team, you can get an instant bonus of $10 or $20 as long as you do this extra step, which the extra step is what a more personalized way to reach out is to do a three-way text with them to set up an interview, right? So, for example, Ryan might send out, hey, Sally, I work with your friend Opal at her new job. She wasn't sure if you'd be looking for work, but thought if you were, that you might be a good fit for what we have here. So let us know if you're looking for work. And then Opal can jump in and go, oh, yeah, this is my new job. It's been great. You should totally check it out. Just something simple like that, right? And now the person is like, oh, who might not have even responded at first because they're like, is this real, right? Now they're like, oh, that's actually real, and they go, oh, like I'm interested in more information, and then Ryan can set them up for an interview, and then once they start on the other end of that, in addition to any other bonuses that you already have out there, right, is if that person starts, you get another $20. If they hit $1,000, you get another $20. Continuing each promotion that they get all the way up to $10,000. Right? So potentially, in addition to the instant bonuses and doing the three-way texting, you also can earn up to $100 for each person you recommend when they hit 10K. So that is something you can 100% follow up with Ryan on doing, and that Ryan will do for you. Ryan has also launched another contest for you, right? So I'm saying these bonuses like as if they're me, but like Ryan's actually funding it, right? So there you go. This contest. So if you sell 2K in the next 9 days, right? So that's from now until the 23rd, right? At your team meeting, then you win a roll-up packet, or you can choose a gadget or a pocket knife, right? The roll-up packet is a roll-up that holds all the homemaker knives, right? So, and you can roll it all up. It snaps together. You can carry it like a chef. And so it's a cool thing. It's very coveted. Customers can't even buy it, right? Only managers can get it for you, right? If you sell 4K in the next 9 days, you can get a cookware sample. Which is a sample of the cookware, which you can have to show your customers, right? You can obviously, of course, use it at home as well. And then if you sell 6K, you get an entire gourmet set, which is $1,000 set of knives, right? So that is a special contest just for you to be able to have for yourself for your time there. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you get a good picture of that one already? Okay, cool. All right. So what do we want to see happen down here in Central Coast over the rest of the summer? Well, so finishing the summer with 150K, right? So right now you guys are at about 50K, right? So now the second half is always bigger than the first, right? So the fact that you're at 50K might not feel like it's on pace for 150K, right? But based on my experience, that's something that's very doable, right? Now, likely about 40K of that will happen during SC2 push period, which I think would qualify you to be a first full week winner, right? And based on these numbers, actually, that might even be more. I forget that sometimes part of week 4 and one day of week 3 are actually also part of push, so that might be closer to 50K, right? So this week is a regular week as far as like it's a momentum week preparing for push. July week 4 on Friday of July week 4, which happens to be the 25th, is when push starts. So Friday the 25th, push starts, and then it goes until August 13th. And then the 220K weeks there are both push weeks, and then SC2 will happen during August week 3. And then naturally, we're going to have a little bit of a drop off usually after that. It doesn't have to happen that way, but usually it's a little bit more of like a relax a little bit after a huge push, right? But all in all, that's going to put you to over 150K. Now, there's a couple of other resources that we have here for you guys that are coming up, right? So, Mike, what are you at in sales right now?
I believe 8,050.
Okay, what are you at?
I think it's 3,000.
That's okay. Yeah. Cool. So, when you get to 10K, you get invited to a special 10K group. And so the next one that we have is July 22nd. So it's coming up kind of quickly, right? So you'd have to have a massive next 5 days, right? Or next 7 days, right? But putting it out there, right? Now, another thing, though, that we're having right at the start of Push is we're introducing a women's leadership mastermind with Deanna Scortino. So, Mike, sorry you can't be a part of this. Don't worry, I can't
Ah,
either. But Opal, this is for you, right? And so this you only have to be at 6K to attend, and it's a special meeting about becoming maximizing your experience with Vector as a woman and maximizing your experience as a leading woman in Vector. And no better person to speak on that than Deanna Scortino, right? And that's going to be July 25th from 7 to 9 p.m., which is also the first day of Push, right? So now, we also have our SC2 leadership meeting, which is coming up on Tuesday, July 22nd. That one will be at the Pasadena office, so we're not going to be at the hotel for that one. It's just going to be right at the office, and we're going to be digging into, again, how to execute and how to plan, execute, and perform a big push period. And for anybody over $10,000 in sales by this weekend, by Friday, we're going to be buying tickets to the Dodger game after that. Right. So I do have to buy the tickets to the Dodger game a few days before the game actually happens. Right. So that's why I say by Friday the 18th. If someone's at like 9,500, like on Friday, right? Like I'll usually say like, hey, I'm not buying the tickets till Sunday, so tell them they have a couple more days, or so on and so forth, right? But if you're over $10,000 in sales, then instead of going to eat afterwards, well, although everybody else will probably still go eat afterwards, and that'll still be fun, right? But we are going to do a special Dodger incentive game afterwards too.
So for SLDM 4,
Yeah,
I'm a little confused. So SC2, that's the one that's on August 13th, right?
correct.
So then what exactly is SLDM, like the one that we went to, Ryan, that was up in Pasadena?
That was the Battle of LA.
So you went to the Battle of LA. There was a meeting in between the Battle of LA and SC2 that we had as well. That one actually was also, and SC1, that was also at the Westin, where like Brandon talked, and it was it's called a sales leadership development meeting. And so these are just like special invite meetings that like we generally invite people who are over $3,000 in sales to go to, right? Sometimes you get invited earlier, but this one specifically is just designed to like how to have a great SC2 push. So there's been 3 of them so far this summer. There's 2 more. That's one of them, and then there'll be one as like at like the halftime of SC2 push period leading into SC2.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. All right, well, that's what I got for you guys here today. It's a little bit quicker to go through everything when it's just 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
4 of us. Ryan's here too, right? So the 4 of us, right? The meeting I just ran in Bakersfield, there was 13 people. So we used all 2.5 hours, right? But that's what we want to build here in Central Coast too as well. And I'm confident that that'll be ultimately what happens too as well. But we all start somewhere, and I'm excited to see you guys lead the way to create exciting things down here
Thank you
or
so
up
much.
here. Up here for me, but
Thank you, Kevin.
Awesome.
all right, Mike. Thank you for piping in here.
Yeah, for sure, no problem. Thank you for making the trip all the way up here.
Yeah,
Of course.
seriously.
Of course.
All right.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye.
Yep. Take care.